Hi, beautiful people. Today I'm going to go into a little bit about how our brain gets easily stuck in negative cycles of chronic pain. My aim is to give you to show you the tools using your brain, this particular part of the series, to take back your holistic health by using your mind. So have you ever noticed that how we get stuck in songs, like our brain can get stuck on a song, right? Right at the moment, my daughter is going through a Greek pop phase. And so all these Greek pop songs keep popping into my head, just at the random times, right? So we can also get stuck on thoughts and stuck on cycles of thought. So for example, when you have chronic pain, like I had for many years, I was in a I'm so sick thought pattern. I'm always going to be like this, right? These kind of thoughts come into our mind when we have an illness or a disease or some kind of chronic pain. We can also get stuck on emotions, right? So we can be terrified of what this means and how we're going to, if the pain is going to get worse. And we can be in this feeling of despair that this is never going to go away, or even grieving for our loss of health, right? So these are all examples of when when the brain is working in this kind of like experiencing of life. This is how it shapes the way we experience life by the way that it is kind of like it's what's called predictive coding. It codes for the things, it predicts that through the experience, it predicts what our experience will be in the future, or what will, from now on, right? So this is a kind of a habit of the brain, is it's constantly generating and updating, which is important here, mental models of reality. And this is neuroscience, right? But basically this means that the brain is directly responsible for the reality that we live every single day. So the brain has an internal drive to predict what we experience. And this can be, shown very simply by illusion art, the famous illusion art, the final spiral, which is just, a spiral of, but when you look at it, it looks like it's moving and you just can't stop your brain from seeing the movement, right? This is a prediction. This is like, it's kind of filling in the blanks and making meaning, constantly predicting what the experience that you're having and going to have. And this is really important in real life, and it really affects the way that we see and feel and experience pain. So for a very easy example, how can this come up in real life? Starting from an innocent fall, for example, you might hurt a part of your body and get some back pain, or feel back pain, some knee pain, leg pain, arm pain, whatever. And then over time you start, like, you bend over and you have the stabbing back pain after with that specific movement. And this is coupled with fear, so it's coupled with a strong emotion, and this can go on, like perpetuate, basically. So even months or years after you're rationally thinking, well, my muscles and my tissues and my back have healed from the injury, but why am I still experiencing this pain, this discomfort, and this with a specific activity or with a specific movement, or at certain times, right? So this is predictive coding, basically. For me, it was bending over and with a stabbing pain in my back, with a strong emotion of fear. So I was coupled with fear, and the pain was, protecting me, basically, from, it was telling me, but it was overprotecting me. It was telling me it was not actually, there was nothing wrong with my back, but it was just like it had been coupled with this, with the fall, the strong emotion of fear and the stabbing pain, right? So it's there to help us, the brain, but often it can kind of like get over the, stuck, just like the song, or just like a thought, or just like an emotion that gets stuck and in overdrive in our brain. So this is a danger signal alert machinery that's inside our brain, and it's very predictive. So danger signals are ramped up when we get injured, obviously, because it's warning us to be careful. But those danger signals can remain for a long periods of time, and those are when we're having chronic pain, and can be even louder and like even more strong when we have external situations and events that are perceived as unsafe, but also our internal state, right? So it's really important that we know that we are, our emotions, strong emotions, like I said in the previous video, strong emotions are also danger signals, right? So they can also be very sticky. They can get in there, and these danger signals and this kind of predictive coding can get in there, and it can be difficult to get it out, but it's not impossible. And I'm going to be showing you what I mean by that, right? Thankfully, it's not impossible, and it's actually very easy. You just have to recode your brain. And this is basically as easily as creating new habits, right? So danger signals are controlled by predictive coding, which is basically the creation of new habits or muscle memory, or a neural circuit in the brain that has been learned through repetition and becomes automated, and is triggered in certain situations. So pain becomes a habit, and it's a conditioned response. And they know this more and more and more now. The classic example of Pavlov's dog, the buzzer, the environmental trigger coupled with food creates the physical response in the dog. The dog salviates, you remove the food, and you just have the trigger, which causes salivation, right? This is a neural circuit trained in the brain, and this is happening to us, to dogs. It's happening to us all the time in our brain. Neurons that fire together, wire together, and become in a circuit that is maintained in the brain for convenience, and mostly because, again, it's predictive coding. It wants to protect you from additional falls or additional problem areas, right? So how can this happen in real life? And this happens like I said, all the time. It's happening a lot. We just don't realize it. And so, for example, let's say a lady, Sally, let's call her Sally, she goes shopping in a large store with bright lights, and she gets a headache. And this happens a few times, right? So the bright lights and the headaches start to get linked in the brain. The bright lights are now the trigger for the headache, right? Over a period of time, right? The more one fears the trigger, the bending over, or the bright lights, or the other things that might trigger your pain to worsen, or the pain to ramp up, are all worsening the situation, right? So neural connections get stronger and stronger, and more experiential evidence builds up, and this predictive behavior of the brain gets more and more ingrained, and it starts from birth. So obviously over when you reach the age of 50, 60, it's like there's a lot of experiential evidence for this mechanism for you to for your brain to take over, basically. The good news is that we can do lots to do about it, and I will be showing and going over this in the next video. But in the meantime, I just really want you to see and like locate the trigger. So the trigger, the cue for your chronic for the chronic pain that might be stimulated or triggered, I would like you to start to become aware of it. No, so I've given you the knowledge here in this video. The knowledge sets us free, so we now know that pain doesn't have to mean injury and damage, that it can be overstimulated in the brain for various reasons, and the danger signals in our external environment and our internal environment can ramp up this danger signal to the point where it's, you know, it's the danger is not there, but you know, we're getting the signal, and gets stuck in our brain, this neural wiring and conditioning into our brain, right? So I just want you to start to notice, and this information that I'm giving you is knowledge, but putting it into your daily life and starting to trying to actually identify, where is this happening in my life, is actually the wisdom, is actually the using the knowledge and putting it into your own personal experience. So notice this week, the next couple of days, notice where the triggers are, right? Notice where your body contracts, where you feel unsafe. Maybe you feel unsafe at work. Maybe you feel unsafe talking to your mother or your spouse. Where do you suddenly get your headaches or your chronic, there's a chronic flare-up? What happened just prior to that, right? So start to kind of notice. You can start to have a journal about this, and start to notice also how you're feeling before it happens. So again, emotions are a huge danger signal to the body. If you don't know how to soothe your emotions and to bring some regulation tools inside, and I have many videos and regulation tools and soothing tools for the nervous system and the emotions, and it's my forte. I absolutely love this area. I'm very passionate about it, and it's been my saving grace as well. So totally go and have a look at those videos. Mastering your emotions, giving yourself some emotional space to validate and calibrate your emotions. All of these things are a great place to start. So the trigger, and noticing how you're feeling when the trigger starts. For example, I had a trigger which was very unusual. It was very odd. So I had chronic pain for many years, and I was trying to overcome it with mind body stuff, and doing yoga and various other practice meditation. And I realized after a while that I'd actually conditioned yoga and pain in my brain. So whenever I did yoga, my pain got worse. I don't like to use the word my, because we identify with it, right? So the pain got worse, right? So I just stopped. I realized that every time I was doing the yoga, it was getting worse. It was triggering the pain that I was having. So I started to walk instead. And then I started to run and do all sorts, and now I'm doing all sorts of different things after I've completely overcome and released more than 18 different symptoms of chronic pain that I had for many years. So there, I just wanted to show you that, because sometimes we can, the trigger can be quite, unusual. And when I said, like, for example, a mother or a spouse or some member in your family, it can be a little bit, not taboo, but like, well, I don't really want to be triggered by my spouse, or I don't really want to be, why am I getting danger signals from this person, or your boss at work? And sometimes it can be very, irritating, annoying, that you have to start to consider, but you have to start to consider what, these points are, right? These triggers are. So, I'm going to be going into this in the next video. We need to find out, I'll be giving you tools so you can actually use your brain in a very simple and effective way to overcome these predictive coding that we have that happens every single, all our life. And I would like to just invite you to just look into the triggers this week or in the next couple of days, so that you can actually put this into practice. So with that, I will love you and leave you, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.